joined us. You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State announces his intention to seek the highest office in the land come 2019. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission arrests Ekiti State Commissioner of Finance and Accountant General over allegations of misuse of the federal government's bailout funds. In continuation of our series on the country's 57th independence anniversary, tonight our focus is on the economy. And China tells North Korean companies operating in its territories to shut down as it begins the implementation of the United Nations sanctions against the country. Remember now that for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. And log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. Now, having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have access to the Eyewitness feature, with which you can share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. Well, let's take a look at some of those pictures that were sent in to us. And the first one is from Boko, local government area of Benue State, showing what our Eyewitness reporter claims to be an abandoned project. He says the residents are suffering from lack of good drinking water and is appealing to the authorities to look into it. We move on to Gombe State with this image showing the state of the General Hospital in Brili. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the government to renovate the entire hospital. And next is this picture showing a drainage dug very close to a transformer in Ofada local government area of Ogun State. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the state government and the electricity distribution company to do something about it. And let's end with this photo of an overloaded vehicle along Presidential Road Independence layout in Enugu State. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the road safety officials to stop similar vehicles as they pose a danger to themselves and others. Do keep your pictures coming, and thanks a lot for sending them in. Now, to take another look at the economy, 57 years on, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by an economist and the CEO of UHY Maji, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you.
So we're trying to gauge the performance of this economy in the last 57 years in terms of the potentials that we had and where we find ourselves now.
Well, the potentials have always been there. Even pre-colonial times, the potentials were there. They were recognized by our colonial masters. So we became major producers of several agricultural products. And at independence, we had a base given to us by the colonial administration to grow these products, from palm oil to rice to cotton and cocoa. And we started well at the beginning, but shortly after that, we found oil, and everybody got very, very well soaked or drunk in oil that we thought agriculture had gone out of fashion, that we had enough dollars to buy whatever rice we wanted to buy or whatever textile products we wanted to buy. And so we lived in that illusion for a couple of years until we found that we have to now go back to agriculture.
So now fast forward and to now that we now know that oil wasn't all that, and we're now trying to diversify the economy. Are you satisfied with the attempts that you see from at least the past two administrations to diversify the economy?
Yes, in the last two administrations, there was concrete action, not just rhetoric. We've always had rhetoric. Every government in Nigeria wanted to diversify agriculture, wanted to make agriculture the driver of the economy. But in the last two administrations, there were specific actions taken to address the question, to say, for example, we should be able to produce enough rice, and take the actions that will follow it, and put government support, and then mobilize private sector. The private sector bought into it, and we can see what has happened with rice production. We are on the way to self-sufficiency. And then you look at, say, if it's cassava, you see concrete actions in a number of products.
But let me just draw your attention to that. Even though you do talk about the concrete action and the fact that we're getting there, the income of many households is still shrinking. It's never been as bad as it is. We still have rising food prices, joblessness, population. So what can we do about the disenchantment, the state we find ourselves in, which is, I know it's nice when you hear the economists talk about positive figures and all, but it doesn't reflect, and we have been where we are for quite a while.
The big picture for that, of course, is that the population is growing at 3% all the time. We are growing at 3%. At some point, we were growing, the economy itself was growing at 7%. Then it went into a recession. We started growing at -2, -3. Now we are trying to go back to grow at 0.55%. But in all of that, the population was growing. So that's the dilemma. You say, oh, the economy is growing well. There is statistics says, you know, but for every 1% growth, there was in economy, there was a 2% additional growth in population. So you don't really see the wonderful figures from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics on your table, because you have many more mouths to struggle for the extra rice that you are producing or the extra whatever additional cotton or palm oil that you are producing. So there has to be a stage at which what we produce from agriculture is conserved, is processed, and is converted to actual income. Because it is not just the production at the farm that you find on your table. The products have to move from the farm, processed into food, preserved until the day we want to eat it.
All right, economist and CEO of UHY Maji, Mr. Gabriel Ilahosa, thank you for sharing your thoughts on the news at 10 tonight.
Thank you.
Let's cross over to Abuja now, and here's Gloria Umezuke. Gloria.
Hello, Ijoma. Well, 2 police officers and 6 others have been abducted by gunmen along the Birnin-Gwari-Funtua Road in Kaduna State. One of them, an assistant commissioner of police, was kidnapped alongside 3 members of his family. The officer, identified as ACP Emmanuel and serving in Zamfara State, was traveling with his family when he was stopped by gunmen and whisked away. The other officer was said to have been abducted with 3 others while traveling in a bus along the same route on the same day, Wednesday, September the 27th. This is coming barely 3 months after the IGP attached 500 officers to contain the activities of kidnappers and armed robbers along the Abuja-Kaduna Road. As Nigeria prepares to celebrate her 57th independence anniversary, the Senate is calling on all Nigerians to work for the unity and development of the country. This position follows a motion sponsored by the Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, and supported by the lawmakers who saluted the resilience of Nigerians. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, has the report.
On Sunday, the 1st of October this year, Nigeria will be marking her 57th independence anniversary. In recognition of the significance of that day, the Deputy Senate President raises a motion on the matter. He congratulates Nigerians on the giant strides achieved since independence.
We still have our own challenges. What I believe that we need to do as a country going forward is to ensure that we'll be able to maximize the benefits of our diversity, to ensure that the rainbow we have in Nigeria will be beneficial to all of us, and nobody should be left behind. We must, as a government and as a people, continue to entrench the values of justice, fairness, and equity. In that way, I believe that Nigeria will be greater than what we are today.
Other lawmakers add their views to the debate.
In our reflection as we celebrate our independence,
I think it is very, very important for our leaders to be extremely careful in popping out matters for the purpose of scoring political goals and doing a very, very serious damage to the thinking, the wishes, and aspirations of those who fought for the independence of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Right now, we should have an introspection. The leadership of Nigeria, including the National Assembly, must sit down and see that even at maturity, we sit together and talk about our country, talk about our youth, talk about unemployment, talk about non-payment of salaries, talk about the problems and difficulty of putting food on the table for most of our people.
The Senate President then put the single prayer to a vote.
The prayer is that the Senate do congratulate Nigeria and all Nigerians on the 57th independence celebration and call for unity of the country and for the good of the citizens and development of the country. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
And just before the matter is dropped, he also adds these words.
As people continue to question whether there is something to celebrate, I think we must rightly say yes, there is. That it is work in progress. It is a case of a cup half full and half empty. That the future is still bright and we must continue to seek for peace, unity, despite the challenges that the country is going through.
It's an interesting time for Nigeria, and these lawmakers say they believe the future is bright. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, Nigerian Breweries kicks off the 10th edition of its Don't Drink and Drive campaign in partnership with the Federal Road Safety Corps. That's after the break. Let's join us again.